been a weird sort of few years for Everton, hasn't it? For Everton fans, you almost had the up of having Carlo Ancelotti as your manager, which I think surprised a lot of people when he came, and James Rodriguez came to the club, Alan came to the club, Doucouré, and you're thinking, 1 second, they can make a real fist of this. Like, Everton could be really pushing for top 4. He left, and those signings really haven't worked out. James particularly didn't work out at all, did it? And now it's almost a bit of a rebuild, a bit of a start again under Frank Lampard. We're seeing younger players being given an opportunity. Anthony Gordon, I still think, looks fantastic. Every time I see him for under 21s for England, looks really good. Iwobi's turned the corner and is looking really, really good. What do you make of this kind of up and down last few years for Everton?
I don't like it. That's one thing I will say. I don't like it. Everton are in my heart. I've got a real soft spot for Everton, as you know, being a player and a captain for the club. I think Everton's problems of sacking managers have actually caught up with them. And Carlo Ancelotti leaving for Real Madrid just magnified the problems. Obviously, Rafa Benitez came in. It didn't work out. Frank Lampard then came in. Done the job to keep Everton up. But now you could see he wasn't backed with the money that some of the other previous managers have had. So he's got to try and work and build a foundation with what he's got. Not his players. What he needs to do is probably get rid of quite a few to get players in to make this team his own. And Everton just don't have the money. He's made some shrewd signings. I've got to say Tarkowski, Cody.
Fantastic.
Anana in midfield.
Back, yeah.
Just a gay back in midfield. So he shored them up. Problem is firepower. We've talked about it already. There's certain teams down at the bottom there who don't have the firepower to be able to shoot themselves up the table. Everton need to address that in this window, and I believe they will. Good to see Dominic Calvert-Lewin back, but unfortunately you can't rely on him at the moment because you just don't know if he's going to stay fit or not. So you have to go out there and get some firepower.
Yeah, it must be really sort of strange, again, to sort of be an Everton fan of the last 10 years when Fahad Mashiri's been splashing the cash and they spent a lot of money, Everton. But you look at it and think...
3 number 10s at once.
Yeah, you look at the money though and you think, where are the players for this money? We spent nearly $500 million in 10 years. Where are those superstar players? And you look around and unfortunately there aren't any. Frank's got a tough job, hasn't he? Because he's not going to have big money to spend. But then again, I mean, we saw at Chelsea when he didn't have money to spend, he sort of brought for you a couple of young players, Mason Mount, Tomori, and that helped him, didn't it?
Certainly did. I think, again, if you look at Everton, it's not for the want of trying on behalf of the owners. They've just invested money in the wrong places. And again, that comes back to what I was saying earlier about, when we look at Newcastle, shrewd recruitment is the key. It's easy to spend money. It's much more difficult to spend money wisely, and Everton clearly haven't done that. I've seen them a couple of times this season. I saw them twice in a few days get battered in League and EFL Cup by Bournemouth, and asked Frank Lampard some difficult questions, and he said we were always going to be in a battle this season. We just stayed up by the skin of our teeth. We didn't really spend significantly in terms of net spend. So basically he was saying, what did you expect? So I don't know if that's necessarily what Everton fans will want to hear, but that is the reality of the situation. This is a really tough game, isn't it? Because Brighton, for me, are a side who've got even better under De Zerbi. I think that's a really intelligent appointment. They've got Alexis McAllister. We spoke to him yesterday, World Cup winner, who is part of the travelling party. His confidence is going to be sky high. I think it's difficult to see Everton winning this game. I think the best they can hope for is a draw, and that will keep them right back in contention for relegation.
Come on, Crookie. I fancy Everton. I'm watching the game tonight. I fancy Everton.
On what basis?
Everton got written off. I like you wrote them off tonight. Everton got written off against Man City. 4-5-0. Everton come up with a point. When the backs are to the wall, the 12th man, Goodison Park.
Yeah, but Everton seem to be able to do that away from home, don't they? When there's less pressure and the backs are against the wall, they seem to be able to pull those kind of results out of the bag. I think they've done it with Frank for the last sort of season and a bit. When you're expected to win, and fans aren't going to accept you sitting back here against Brighton, they're going to accept sort of front foot football. I think that's when the problems come, don't they? When fans expect them to kind of maybe sort of go for it a bit and maybe push on and maybe one less defensive midfielder in there, that seems to be when the problems come for Everton.
Yeah, it is a problem. But again, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's back. You're expecting him to be able to lead the line at home. He's not played since, well, God knows when. But again, you're at home. These are the games that you need to win. You need to win your home games. When you've got your own fans there, Brighton, we know Brighton's a good side, but when you're at home, Everton got to win tonight.
I think what's encouraging for Frank Lampard is that the Everton fans seem to still be with him. They really bought into what he was trying to do at the end of last season. I think that the atmosphere at Goodison Park played a huge part in them staying up. They haven't turned on him, even though when you look at the league table, there haven't been any obvious signs of progress this season.